I've been seeing this video everywhere. What are we doing to white people? Let's see, what are we doing to white people?
Let's talk about what we're doing to white people.
Okay?
There's been something going on for a while now that we're
What
being
is
told
that?
not to notice. More to the point, that we're asking white people not only to ignore, but to accept. The rising tide of racial hatred against white people. In the past decade, there
We're asking them to accept it? Now let's
has
keep
been a
going.
noticeable cultural shift in what constitutes acceptable speech as it relates to white people. Back when I was a kid, in the early 2000s, the mainstream American culture preached about respecting each other's differences and not seeing color. Nowadays, we say that not seeing color is racism, that you must see color. But
People running around here talking about, I don't see color. Are you dumb or what? Yes, you see color. That's why you have eyeballs in the sense of seeing, and that's why certain animals serve a certain color to attract mates. Like, it's a sense of danger, fear. Like, you do see color. When I see a nasty, rotten brown apple, I don't see color. Let me sink my teeth into it. Bro, you see color for a reason. I like beautiful dark black. I love pasty white sometimes. Like, people see color. Color means something sometimes. Now, you don't have to treat someone like shit because of it, and you don't have to give someone preferential treatment because of a color. It's all about the user in this case.
the more I see how things are unfolding, the more I'm convinced that this is wrong. Back then, saying
Mm.
something offhanded about white people were seen as not appropriate, just as it would be to say something offhanded about people of any other race. But that soon gave way to our current times, in which there exists virtually no limit to what racial minorities can and do say about white people. I believe
I think that might be due to the history that white people haven't had anything really said to them, and the way they've been chirping off to other races and stuff when they get upset. Maybe we're learning, and other people are learning from their experiences and giving back what we see they're giving to us. Know what I'm saying?
believe this is the natural outgrowth of a perverse ideology that teaches us that everything, every societal ill, is the fault of white people, and that whatever prejudice acts we may inflict upon them does not constitute discrimination because we don't have the power to discriminate.
No, 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 no. I think people are more likely doing that to make them feel how we might be feeling. Maybe putting a mirror in their face to show them, oh, well, this is the behavior you taught us. This is what we're doing back. So it's kind of like maybe giving them back what they're already giving out. Just saying.
And alarmingly, this is particularly pronounced in the younger generation. But is it
This is not in no younger generation. Most all generations. Some of them act on it. Some of them know what's going on and know they might not get as much flack back. But a lot of the generations, I'd say all of them, they're getting the younger ones are getting their information from somewhere. Just saying. You can't say all generations. It's just the young ones. You cannot exclude the older ones too.
is it true? Do we not have the power to discriminate? Well, let's see. First, let's take a look at the racial hatred at the interpersonal level. In today's society, it has become somewhat fashionable to think things and say things about and to white people that would not be acceptable if it was said about any other race. And we're being taught that this double standard is not wrong, that it is rather
I mean, it's wrong. Sometimes some things need to be said if it's said on the other part. Sometimes not everyone wants to take the high road. Sometimes they're like, if you think you're at the top, we're going to say the same thing that you're doing. So, I mean, you have to look at what was already done versus what's being done back. You can't just do something and be like, oh my God, you're doing it back and you're talking. Like, bro, that's just pussy shit. Like, come on with it.
form of empowerment. They'll attribute negative experiences that they've had with white people to their whiteness.
Some people do act a certain way because they have power due to their whiteness. Like when a Karen will call a cop and act like, "Oh my God, da, 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 I'm getting abused." That cop's like, "Oh, this white lady is similar to my mom." They know that, and they know the power they have with that. And then they're gonna say that they're being threatened. Like, come on, like that is due to whiteness. Do you hear any black people doing that? Any Asians doing it? Like, we have all these cameras around here, and the most people that do that are just majority of white women. So I mean, you cannot say that every instance is because of their whiteness and they're doing it attributed to that. No, that's not the case. But in some cases, that does start some things up, and that is what adds fuel to the fire and adds fuel to their engagement. Can't say it doesn't.
You had an argument in line at the grocery store with a white person. They were acting entitled because they were white. A white driver.
Sometimes, not all the time. You could say that might be the case sometimes. They want to make a ruckus and they want to and have their privilege. Like, they're doing it for a reason. These outbursts aren't happening with other races now, are they? You don't have any type of information on anyone else that's happening to. That's because that's a demonstration of, I'm better than you, I'm going to use this. It's just like, maybe get out a little bit more and you'll kind of see that. Maybe get out of your state and you'll understand a little bit more. This guy seems like he's just closed down in a box and doesn't know what he's talking about.
Driver cut you off when you were driving, they need to check their white privilege.
Nah, they're probably just pissed. No one's acting some type of way in traffic because they're white or black or Mexican. Like I'm a road rager, I'll admit that. Nobody's doing anything because they're like, oh, they cut me off because they're white. Hell no, they cut me off because they're a dick. They cut me off because they're in a rush. They cut me off because maybe I'm going too slow. Like, nah, bro, come on.
Your action,
ain't nobody attributing everything to why they're white in traffic. Come on now.
Conduct,
that's
and
extra.
Existence, in other words, boil down to your white. Your actions, your conduct, and your existence, in other words, boil down to your whiteness. And ashamedly, at one point in time, this was how I used to think as well. And beyond the people in my circle, I noticed that many.
How do you think now?
People of color have this sort of blasé attitude. An attitude most particularly pronounced when there are no other white people around.
When there ain't no white people around, but what is he talking about? If they're getting said to him in public, what are you talking about behind closed doors now? And you don't look like you behind anybody's closed doors that can chime in besides what you and your family are saying. This guy right here. Holy. Everybody's saying more personal things behind closed doors. You're more personable with the people that are behind closed doors. You're not out wearing your heart on the sleeve out in public. So I guess there's truth to this statement, but it's kind of like overbearing and reaching with it.
Behind closed doors, but out in the open, not just between close friends.
Some of those ideas might be cultivated inside of a house, and once they, reflect on it, maybe he's getting that from that.
Strangers. So here's the thing. This is something that I've experienced countless times, so I know that there are other people who are experiencing it too. I know it must resonate with at least some of you. The difficulty here is that no matter how many anecdotes I share, they are just that, anecdotes. And people who refuse to believe that this is happening will just chalk it up to my experiences being a fluke.
I was just about to say, your experiences, bro, you look like you're not even 25. Like, this guy is young. He has blush on his cheeks. Like, bro, this guy's young. What is he talking about his experiences? I don't think he can really chime in at this point in life. I think he needs to get a little bit more XP points in and get stuff going. Because at this point, he just looks like a casual NPC to me with very limited life experiences, if any.
Or worse yet, they'll say I'm lying. So I've compiled some TikTok videos. I want you to take a look.
Yeah. Prove it with TikTok. Yeah, what's going on TikTok?
The generation, the kind of statements people wouldn't dare say about people of any other race. Take a look at what is stunningly in vogue in today's society.
Convince me with TikToks. Let's go.
Where does this lead to years down the line?
Yeah, let's do.
You have a token white, and you're hanging out.
A token white? Never heard of that before.
Out with your friend group.
Down the
Okay,
line.
my bad.
You have a token white, and you're hanging out with your friend group of color. You need to ask permission from everybody in the group to bring your white friend. Like,
huh? Man, who's doing that? What type of bozo's like, hey, can I invite my white? Like, bruh, no, that hasn't ever happened, at least in my lifetime. And I've been around rich people, black people, poor people, Chinese people, Mexicans. Ain't nobody like, hey, yeah, should I invite the white? Should I invite? No, bro, that's not. No, ain't nobody getting permission to invite the white guy along.
don't just bring them.
Yo,
You might not be in the mood to deal with white shenanigans that day.
That
That's
is
all I'm
funny.
saying. And another thing, it feeds into their ego. Like, don't let them think they're a good white person.
Accomplices ask, how can they support Black and Indigenous people of color? And sometimes I really don't know what to say, but here's one easy way. Just don't have babies.
Okay, yeah, that's a little, whew, that's a little far, buddy. Holy, someone pissed him off. Holy shit.
Can single-handedly cause the white genocide that they are so afraid of. With 2.25 billion Asian women and 500 million white men, baby, it'll only take 2 generations.
The Asians can't wipe out the white generation because y'all ain't got enough big enough tits. White boys like titties. And you motherfuckers ain't got none, to be honest. Y'all be flat as fucking plank off Etta and Etta. You bitches is flat, to be honest. And when you see a voluptuous Asian chick, they be hitting. But yeah, y'all ain't got enough titties to wipe out the white people. Sorry.
In 2 generations, there will no longer be any blonde-haired.
Is there some things I noticed?
That's cap. Niggas gonna die and get contacts.
Being grounded is a punishment to them. That's what they call punishment. The least grounded, least balanced, most destructive race considers being grounded a punishment? Yeah. They also
being grounded kind of is a punishment. You're taking away the freedoms. I mean, I can't disagree with that.
Say really violent phrases. They say things like, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Why do we have to kill the birds? Why is everything so violent? It's almost like one's language and phrases reflects one's nature.
I think that might be more of like just the man nature. We all know white men do like to conquer things. It is what it is. We're all the human race, and we all do certain things better than the other ones. But at the same time, that's just more like an old-fashioned alpha state of mind. I understand it. I don't really look at the violence behind killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Who out here killing 2 birds with 1 stone? I haven't seen any type of evidence of that ever happening. So, right, it's just a frame of mind. And a man with that.
That new Jeffrey Dahmer movie on Netflix is the perfect example
I heard eyeballs get like that.
of the sensationalization of white violence. People have a much easier time.
It was kind of wild how they kind of made that guy. They were like, oh my god, bitches was getting wet. Like, stop playing. Some dudes were like, oh, I'm gonna be Jeffrey Dahmer for Halloween, and they actually did it. Some black dude, like, bruh, it's kind of still in society. People are kind of intrigued with like the whole crime doc stuff. So like, I ain't gonna knock people for it. I'm kind of intrigued by it. I don't worship them people. I don't think highly of them. But I get what she's saying. People were kind of like, hey, look at Jeffrey Dahmer. Look at what he did. And it was just like, man, they didn't really look at the bad side either. But, it is what it is.
Time sympathizing with white criminals than they do with black victims. And people think these shows are harmless, but they actually...
Man, I didn't sympathize with the black victims either. I'm like, why y'all niggas going in there and who ain't beating this man's ass? Like, how y'all letting that happen? I wasn't any type of, like, bro, that's what I was thinking. Like, come on.
Contributes to the viewpoint that white people are less violent than everyone else, and white violence is something to be consumed in media.
I do kind of have a problem with seeing a bunch of imagine Jeffrey Dahmer, but as a black guy. Even if it's a fictional story, that's not happening. Have you ever seen that movie? I think the closest one we had was when Michael B. Jordan just did the Tom Clancy or the Rainbow Six movie. And that was kind of like army based. It wasn't just some black dude in society murking people. Now, granted, there might be movies like that, but it definitely was not sensationalized like that, which kind of is a problem for society because a lot of mass shooters want to be famous because they saw the last mass shooter on a magazine that made them famous. So, like, it's a valid argument. Cannot say it's not.
That's it.
What is with Caucasian people and like their inability to like read a fucking room? Like, y'all act like you don't understand shit because y'all be the first ones during a conversation about the Holocaust to get so mad when black people be like, you do realize that the original Jewish people were black, right? White people do not need to explain to anybody about us all bleeding red because, baby, you all are the people that need to learn that lesson.
I've heard that argument before about, oh, well, you're not the only one that's been in slavery, yada, yada, yada. It's just the way they were brought up, and they've been kind of blocking out the guilt thing. They've been blocking out any blame. Or, oh, it wasn't me, it was my ancestor, blah, 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 it wasn't me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've heard this before. I don't really put too much mind and thought behind this argument. If the motherfucker can't read the room, then he's probably just a dumbass, get his bitch taken, and he probably ain't making real money, to be honest. So, like, they're not a threat. Let them be ignorant. They can't read the room. It is what it is. There's multiple types of races that can't read the room. Like, this Asian motherfucker on this video definitely can't read a room. Hands down. Promise you that.
History shows that you all are the people that like to pillage and eradicate, enslave and oppress, attempt to suppress greatness because you all simply don't have it.
Right? Here go y'all cum goblins who don't even live in the fucking city. Which, by
Whoa.
the way, the Q-tip people are the last ones to ever talk about somebody stealing anything.
Q-tip
y'all wouldn't
people,
be in this
holy
country
shit.
had it not been for y'all stealing it. So y'all
Whoa.
are more focused on people looting and trying to get necessities and things that they need. And yes, a TV is a fucking necessity. Thank you. You feel like you're better
Oh,
than
she's spicy.
people are out here stealing, and you would never. First of all, if you are a Mayo monster, that is how your ancestors got everything, from stealing. People are,
And that's
Seriously, anybody white out there offended by Mayo Monster and Q-tip people? Nah, I didn't think so. It's just like, some of the arguments she has were hitting, and some of them definitely were not hitting. But if we're going to call black people African Americans, and all of us are not from Africa, let's get that straight, then the whites, some of them should be called European Americans. Just saying. Just keeping it 100. Sorry.
a behavior that's very common among white women.
Common? Why'd she say it like that?
And that's a behavior that's very common among white women. You may have not intended that, but there are many white women who act exactly like you.
If you can find it in your heart this holiday season to donate to the Discriminated White Fund, you'd be helping millions.
Nothing says high protein like cicadas and cheese. Make sure you...
And nothing says caucasity like that right there.
What caucasity looks like. Roaming Asian grocery stores like it's an amusement park.
Explain to me why white people don't wear shoes outdoor, but wear shoes inside.
We're both white women. We are inherently a
I thought this is supposed to be behind closed doors. You think people are... This guy. These TikToks are trash.
For black, indigenous,
These are
and
just
other people
bad.
of color simply by existing.
It's white cis men who are a part of the far right-winged ideology of fascism. That is a true threat and the terrorism to this country.
If BIPOCs stand in the street and scream at the top of their lungs, I hate all white people, I want all white people to go die, die white devil, you cracker bitch, that's still not racism.
You're not.
If you want them to die just because they're white, yeah, it is racism. If you're just making a statement based on someone that you want to actually DIE, it's not racist.
One of the good white people. Stop separating us from the bad white people. Don't sit out there in comments and say, we don't claim them. We are them. We are the ones shooting up schools.
Whoa.
We are the ones raping people, the ones enslaving people.
And I'll say it. I hate being white.
Whoa. And that's just more of an internal thing. I don't think this is a shared ideology. And I'm pretty sure he's trolling. TikTok is a bunch of trolls that are trying to go viral. Why did you put these TikToks on here?
Yeah, which means I'm one of the good ones.
All white people are inherently racist.
Yeah.
Can you be racist against white people?
Based off of the definition of racism, yes, but it's not gonna hurt them and hurt their opportunities like it does people of color. While technically,
I mean, she's kind of right about that.
you can, it's not like an issue.
I don't need to dive down to tell you how. You should probably have some instances on how that would actually, you know, come to fruition in society.
You can't oppress the oppressor.
It helps you sleep at night. I'm racist to white people and proud of it.
Why do people not understand that you can't be racist to...
That's exactly what white people do. They're just doing what some white people do. They're giving you a mirror back into what you do. Not everybody's trying to be the good guy anymore. Like, they're like, man, F all that. If you want to do that, I'm going to do it back.
Why do people not understand that you can't be racist to white people? It's impossible. The system is not set up that way. You can insult white people, but it is not racism. Me calling a white person a tub of mayonnaise and like a flower looking ass, that's not...
You can be racist to white people. Don't be out here being ignorant like that.
You
Please.
went all the way to Africa to physically take black people from their homes, shove them in on boats where a lot of them got diseases and died, tell them where they could sit on a bus, tell them which schools they could go to, which water fountains they could use, which bathrooms they could use, and that's sugarcoating it. Those are just terms. I'm not even describing all the disgusting things that happen, and they don't even want revenge. They are letting you guys skate by asking for equal rights? That's it? And you're still saying no? They are not as angry as they should be. Y'all are getting off easy and you're still saying no?
I'm pretty sure Andrew Tate said something like this, though I ain't even gonna cap.
Fuck you.
Some people look
Yo,
back
she's
and talk about
based.
the grumblings of the powerless. That's the idea that when you have a power disparity, the less powerful sort of has this general society given leeway to complain about the more powerful. The villagers complaining about their king doesn't have the same ring as the king making snide and crude comments about the villagers. But that's not what's going on here. Because although certain segments of our society refuse to believe this, even as evidence mount before our very eyes,
like what?
in one side of the political aisle, people of color actually have greater power than white people. That is the truth. That is
What? Maybe in some instances, like on the football field and other places, but still, like, nah, white people still have more power than a lot of races around here that are at the power that matters. Laws, legislation, like, bruh, they definitely still got some power. Do not fool yourself.
It's not being acknowledged by the people that need
And it's okay to complain about it. What are you talking about? It doesn't matter if you're broke or got the same money. If you're doing wrong, it should be complained about. Doesn't matter about your color. If a black dude's doing wrong at the top and it's all white workers, you should be called out. Same with the Asians. Same with any other race. Mexicans, anything.
need to hear it because this gets in the way of them wielding that power in the way they want, malignantly. I've heard from somewhere that politics is downstream of culture, and I think that is certainly correct. We have a mainstream culture that tells us it's okay to hold prejudiced and hateful view of white people.
No, I think it's more of people are more aware that they're not going to get in trouble from the police like they used to. They're not going to get flack for it like they used to. So I kind of think people are a little just opening up to what they already experienced.
And our politics is then infused with this energy, and we see active,
hell no, it's not,
and on the books racial discrimination of white people that those who are perpetuating this hatred is refusing to see as discrimination. They'll say, no, this is remediation. These are the same people who are making tenuous arguments that some of our race-neutral laws discriminate against people of color. And
this video should have came out during Trump, his reign inside the White House. It would not be hitting like this. It wouldn't have had millions of views like this. No, sir. This guy is wilding, and it'd be so out of touch. Like,
This is certain tenuous argument. No. This is remediation. These are the same people who are making tenuous arguments that some of our race-neutral laws discriminate against people of color. And this is certainly evidence.
There's definitely a lot of laws that are written above this guy's head that are targeted towards darker pigmentation skin people, people of lower class, people even our middle class, people that are trying to get up, that are trying to do better. There's laws written against things that they can do and things that they can get based off of certain metrics that are measurable and need to be in place for many generations. Like, this is something that is a fact that he seems to be glossing over.
That in one side of the political aisle, people of color have more power than white people.
Because
if we didn't have the power, we wouldn't be able to put into place practices and policies that does this. That's what power is.
That's what power is. And there's more white people in power that are making those rules. Just because they let in a couple people of color to satisfy people saying what you're saying, to appease those people that have problems. When it's time to put rubber to the road, they are the ones that were behind closed doors making the call based off of maybe opinions that are from a group of a black organization or a white organization or any other organization. It's gonna go to some people that are more than likely white, and they're gonna make the decision. Like, stop the cap.
Agreeing to a contract with the teachers union that says
Furious, Minneapolis Teachers Union negotiates clause requiring white educators be laid off first, regardless of seniority, to make up for past discrimination. Rule is part of the contract to end 2-week strike this March. I think it might be more of they might have been firing people of color before they're firing people that are white that have been proven to have misconduct, or just in general just firing them because of that. There is certain things and certain optics a company wants to have whenever hiring black and whites. They want to have at least some type of color in there. Otherwise, they're going to get accused of discrimination. So I don't see this as like a too harsh of a thing. There has to be more context to this. I feel like we're missing that.
white teachers must be fired first. New York City's government enacting a policy of having white seniors go to the back of the line on life-saving COVID treatment.
That's
a
cap.
college professor that says white people should be killed and facing no repercussions. Cornell.
See, it's just more of trying to save face. She might not even been that crucial and that vindictive with what she was saying, so it might not need to call for her job.
Cornell University banning white people from rock climbing lessons. One of many instances of liberal colleges doing the utmost to exclude and ostracize white students. BIPOC only events equal.
Not saying that any of that stuff is condonable and two wrongs don't make a right, but some of this stuff was done way worse fashion by white people. It was done by them in a way harsher way, which you're not touching on. Cause and effect. Things happen. Like, those laws weren't drawn up out of nowhere. Maybe there's laws back in the day that were just like that, and they're kind of flipped the other way, and now it gives people more leniency to do what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
No whites, but they don't have the guts to say that, even though that is what that is.
And some white people don't have the guts to say what they're saying. They say it in a different way. That's what a lot of companies do. Like, come on with it, bruh. And we don't take offense to it. Read between the lines. We know how to move, adapt.
That's what makes us different than the mere grumblings of the common villager. The villagers have surrounded the palace, demanding Marie Antoinette's head. The power dynamics have shifted. That is a fact.
No,
Progressive media outlets
this
are
nigga's
uncovering
cap.
stories. Some people out there have no idea that this is going on. But worse, some others out there know but agree with what's going on.
I think it's more of, like I said earlier, people are realizing they're not going to get flack and get in trouble, and they're trying to show white people a little bit about what they're doing, and white people were kind of like expecting it, because if their people were in any type of enslavement or what black people went through for 400 years, I think they would be doing a little bit more than what black people are doing back to them. Let's just call a spade a spade.
And for those people to convince themselves that this is not racial discrimination, they play mind tricks and word games. They use phrases and talking points like punching up. You can't be racist to white people. You can't oppress the oppressor, meaning I'm acting oppressively, but I've designated you as the oppressor, so everything goes. Or Ibram X. Kendi's infamous words, the only way to remedy past discrimination is current discrimination. Or when people say things like, what we're doing to white people is not racism, because racism is prejudice plus power, and we don't have the power.
You can definitely be racist towards white people. None of that bullshit matters. What are you talking about?
They use all this mind-bending apparatus to delude themselves into believing what they're doing faces no moral quandary. But in the back of their minds, perhaps in their subconscious minds, is racial revenge. We experienced it. You experienced it too.
Which, honestly, like I said, on the other side of it, that might be a little bit warranted, to be honest. You can't say if it was on the opposite end of the spectrum, whites wouldn't be doing it either. Not giving any excuse for doing it, not saying it's right, but there's reasons behind it, and those reasons should be addressed. And then you might have a little bit more insight on to what's going on and why things are happening.
See how you like it. That people of color are using our newfound
This guy's trying to be white hella bad. Holy!
power to act this way and then pretend like none of this is going on leads me to believe that we would have done the same thing.
The only people that are pretending that it's not going on are white people. Let's just get that shit right. And it's a good tactic. Ignore what's going on.
That white people did, were we to be.
And some other people might just be working and not giving a shit. Not everybody that's black thinks like this. Not everybody that's Asian thinks like this. Not everybody that's white is on the other side thinking bad. We're all humans. The quicker we start to get along, the better we can advance as a human race. Bickering amongst skin color is barbaric at this point. Like, it really is.
Like, because such acts have its roots in human nature, not white people nature. And one can only imagine what might happen in the coming decades when the demographics of the US will have shifted such that white people will no longer constitute the majority. When the younger generation you've just seen have graduated from elite schools and hold positions of power in our institutions, our government, corporations, entertainment, news media, and so forth, how they might, in wielding the levers of society, be able to rationalize, using their adult brain, the hatred that was embedded in their minds during their adolescence.
I'm pretty sure we'll do a better job than what you think. And the other, like, we're a mixing pot. It won't ever change. We're always going to have white people here. We're always going to have a range of people here. And it doesn't matter really who's in power, but it needs to be diverse. I agree with that. I don't think one race should be at the top and hold all top positions. I don't think black people should do it. White people, I think we should all have a mix.
What we're seeing is just the beginning.
Of what?
To the white people who are watching, I just want to say, you are not an oppressor for refusing to accept an ideology that
I thought he was about to say he's sorry.
That teaches you that you are inherently bad, that your children are inherently bad.
I mean, they're not teaching them that they're bad. They're just teaching them the stuff they did. If you put people in slavery, bro, it's bad. You have to say that it's bad. You can't be like, oh, well, we did this for just reason and they're better for it, bro. It's bad. They're not teaching them it's bad. They're teaching them their history. And if you're doing bad, then you can learn from it and grow from it and not repeat the action. Rather than be like, oh, nothing bad happened, and then potentially repeat something like that again in a different form. You cannot say that they're getting rose up to think that they're bad. Like, if my uncle robbed a bank and did it for 3 generations, and then my mom decides to tell me, oh, yeah, we're from a generation of bank robbers, and, you know, society's told me that taking money and stealing is bad, then, I mean, that's saying that I've been from a line of bad people. They're not teaching me that I'm bad. They're teaching me that the reason why we have these things, whether it's good or bad. So you cannot sit there and say a bad action is teaching them that they're bad. That's just small, smooth brain bullshit, bro.
That you're inherently racist, no matter what you do or how you think.
That's not what's being
taught. That you need to repent by taking affirmative steps in your life to redress harms that your ancestors may have done, or the racist actions of other white people. In fact, you are not an oppressor, period.
Some white people are going out of their way to do that, and some black people go out of their way to show you not everybody with dreads is a threat. And white people do that, which is a good thing. You're doing an aid to society. You're fixing people's toxic thoughts. That is a good thing. Ignoring it would be worse, to be honest.
You did not choose to be born white, just like any of us did not choose to be born in our race. And to ask of you, at the individual level, for example, to give your life in service of people of color, to be used as physical barriers at protests, to give away your house to black people instead of your children, all actual things that have been publicly demanded of white people, to ask this of you is morally reprehensible collective punishment.
I think there should be some form of reparations. I mean, if you have blood money that's acquired, so like in court, if you get a house or get a car by legal means, they confiscate it and give it back and sell it off on an auction. Is that what you're presenting should be done to anyone that's had slave money? Or are you just saying the bad stuff you've done, don't teach your kids that it's bad, don't teach them about it at all, and the benefits you got from it, just go ahead and go on with it, you're not a bad person? Because that's the argument that he's saying. This guy's literally about to turn white as the video keeps going. Like, this guy is literally in a white extremist. Like, this is what white extremists say. He's saying it in a more subtle way, but he's becoming more direct with it. Like, this video is, man.
Under any obligation to carry yourself in any sort of way that others demand of you just because of the color of your skin. This, you need to do this and you need to do that because you benefit from privilege thing is bogus. It is just a way for people harboring racial animus.
It's bogus, so sometimes you gotta do bogus shit, bro.
To attack you. To say that the accomplishments you've achieved in your life isn't yours.
Some of those accomplishments were made by blood money, man. You cannot say that it wasn't. And you can't say, oh, well, since it wasn't me, I don't have to, feel any type of way about it. Like, bro, you have to recognize that. And it might make someone not feel anything, and it might make them feel like giving all that stuff back or giving a portion of it back or going out to do other things that aid people. Like, come on now.
And to silence
you. Be a human.
It is not you. It is this ideology that is wrong and perverse. It is one cloaked in a shroud of pseudo-justice and self-righteousness, all the while excreting toxic fumes of racial hatred. It blames.
Where did that come from? You're not asking the most important question. Where did that come from? How did it become this? It didn't just happen out of the blue. All the people of color didn't just all of a sudden start hating white people for no reason. There's reasons that those actions have happened. Not saying everybody hates white people. I'm just saying there has to be a reason behind it. You're not addressing that. You're glossing over it like it doesn't matter. Like, come on.
It's all white people for the actions of their ancestors, something you have no control over, while absolving black people of personal responsibility for their own individual actions by holding.
Ain't nobody absolving anyone for any vile action that you do, regardless of black people, Asian people, Mexican people, Turkish people. Like, it does not matter. That's not something that black people are doing. Like, this dude, man.
For example,
he's out of touch.
That's a fault of white supremacy. White people are controlling them like puppets on a string.
Mm.
It's a backwards, transgressive ideology. If you don't harbor any hate in your heart but want to fight it as a matter of principle, this does not make you racist or bigoted. If you refuse to accept their premise in your head, but are too afraid to voice your opinion, you're neither a coward nor a bad person. If you're of a liberal bent, but there's a small part in your brain telling you as you're watching this video that perhaps some of this is wrong, listen to your intuition. Maybe you think, oh, I agree with most of what the progressive left teaches about racial justice, but just not with some of this disagreeable stuff, only at the extremes.
He'd rather not be taught at all. Don't teach him about nothing. Just teach him they did only good. Nothing happened. It's all good. You're Gucci.
I'm here to tell you that the rot starts at the core. This racial hatred of white people is a natural outgrowth, part and parcel of...
Most people don't hate white people. They kind of want to give them a little bit more of what they've been going through. That's kind of what's going on, which answers your question
that
why.
To indoctrinate us into believing that there is current systemic oppression going on, that all racial disparities we see today is the sole result of oppression by white people, when there are other more plausible explanations to be had that these same people are silencing as impermissible hate speech. They're telling you, shut up, you'll take it, and you'll like it.
The fuck?
But contrary
Who's
to what
saying
you're saying,
that?
you don't have to take that. You can believe that the things that have been done in the past were morally wrong, as well you should, all the while believing that what is currently going on is also wrong, that we're going backwards, that this is history rhyming with itself.
It definitely is. That's one of my little sayings. History doesn't repeat itself, but it definitely rhymes. And if you teach people to ignore their past, ignore the things they did to get where they're at, then it's gonna repeat itself at that point. It's gonna start rhyming way harder, way faster. So
the table is turning in an eye for an eye manner. As the great Mahatma Gandhi once said, an eye for an eye will leave the whole world blind. But those driven by hatred would sooner gouge everyone's eyes out than realize that true victory for people of color.
And they're not getting their eyes gouged out. And some people think that they should. Some people aren't even teaching them what happened. And some people know what happened and they have it in the back of their subconscious that something could happen to them. So they're scared of like man, this video, man.
History record that when the power dynamics shifted, we treated white people with a kindness that their forefathers may not have shown our forefathers. But now, it will say when we gained the power, we turned around and started doing some of the same stuff to white people. Segregation, social ostracization.
Man,
hatred,
that shit ain't happening.
And we're doing all of this while pretending like we're doing something valiant.
This guy.
But that doesn't mean that there can't be a course correction. So, to some people of color watching who are engaging in this sort of hatred, whether or not you're acutely aware, the same people that act like white people as a collective are not people, but rather some pernicious alien force that has come to invade the earth. With this video, I implore you to ask yourself,
what's that?
What are we doing to white people?
What are
As
we
some
doing?
people love to say, do better.
God, this guy's face. I thought he was gonna turn white right there. Yeah, this video, man, I don't. Some of these points in here are valid and some of them are not, and some of them need more context. This video was interesting though. The fact as to why I clicked on this video, feel expecting it was a joke, says a lot. Love this. Hating a group of people just because their skin color is racist. Doesn't matter what color skin you're talking about. Doesn't matter what happens in the past. If you want to hate whites for whatever reason, blah 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 blah. Yeah. I agree with the skin color thing. Of course, that's just basic being a human, bro. Like, stop playing. I'm a black woman. I'm so happy to hear this because I thought I was the only one who thought this. Also, if anyone, and I mean anyone, says black people can't be racist, you can't be racist. White people, just know that that is racism itself. It's not racism itself. It's just more of like negligence and neglect of the reality. But yeah, I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. This video was crazy. Holy.